So here is a tutorial on how to achieve this dress. So I'm going to cut this dress in a miniature form so that I will explain to you like how to cut the upper part, how to cut the flay attach, and how to attach the extra draping we have at the front part of this dress. To start, you're going to mark the shoulder to bust, shoulder to under bust, shoulder to waistline of your part of your measurement, right? Now the next step is to mark your shoulder divided by 2 plus ½ inch, because you're going to attach a sleeve to this dress, right? Now come down by 1 inch here. Now after that, mark your basic neckline of 2½ by 2½ inches, right? Now if you feel this 2½ inches is too small for the neckline, you can go ahead to readjust it, right? So I'll just go ahead to mark and place my curve drill, and I'll go ahead to connect. Now after connecting at this point, the next step you take is to go ahead to connect from that 1 inch to your shoulder. Next is to find your chest line or armhole line. To get that is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. Whatever you have, go ahead to mark it there, then place your ruler and draw a straight line on this point. After marking it, that measurement you have on the shoulder, which is your shoulder divided by 2 plus ½ go ahead to mark it here on the chest line. Now after marking this, I'll go ahead to place my ruler and I will connect. Now go ahead to divide what you have on the chest line into 2 equal parts, right? Now I'll come in by ½ inch here. At the chest line, measure your round bust measurement, divide it by 4 and mark. Now what you do is to place your curve drill, connect from here to the upper part and connect from your bust circumference divided by 4 to that midpoint. The next step is to mark your dart. Now place your tape on your nipple to nipple, measure. Whatever measurement you have, divide it by 2. My nipple to nipple line is 7 inches, divided by 2, I have 3.5. But for this pattern, I'm just using 2 inches here. I'll mark and connect drawing a straight line. Now, over to the dart intake, I'll mark ½ inch here. The plus size or you're on the bigger size, use 1 inch at this part. So for someone that is on the smaller size, use 1.5 here. Why if you're on the bigger side, you use 2 inches here. Place my ruler now and I'll go ahead to draw a straight line. After marking that, place your curve drill, connect from the bust to the under bust, and also repeat this at the other side of your pattern. Now after you're done marking, I'm just going to go ahead to connect this to this point and connect to the other side. Now from the midpoint of this pattern, which is the mid armhole point, mark it and then connect from that point all the way to your nipple to nipple point. I'll be taking a dart intake of ½ inch here and ½ inch on the other side. I'll go ahead to take my pencil, connect it to the initial line and do the same thing. Now this dart intake we took here, which is ½ inch on each side, now we'll be replacing it on the other side so that we'll not have a shortage while joining this part, and we'll go ahead to connect it to the armhole of the dress. I'll go ahead to outline with my marker. Now the next step is to insert our body measurement. Go ahead to mark your round circumference divided by 4. This dart intake which you have here, ½ inch on both sides, making it 1, replace and then add your own sewing allowance that you want to use for the pattern. I'll mark the round under bust circumference divided by 4. Measure this dart intake I have here, replace and add your own sewing allowance. The waistline, mark your round waist measurement divided by 4. Measure the dart intake you have, replace it and add your sewing allowance. I'll just go ahead and I will connect this pattern. After connecting the pattern, I'll mark my bust dart. Now to get your bust dart for this pattern, place your tape, measure from your shoulder to waist at the front, then measure your shoulder to waist at the back. Now what I have for my shoulder to waist in front is 17, while my shoulder to waist at the back is 15.5. If you take out 15.5 from 17, you will have 1.5 inches, right? So this is what I have at this point, and you can also remark it on the other side, but I'm going to be cutting this as one piece together. Now blend out your dart, make sure that the line you have here is matching. Then I will go ahead to cut out my pattern, and after cutting this out, we'll work on the lower part of this pattern. So if you have any questions so far, please kindly go ahead to ask. I'll just cut this out and I'll place it together, and this is what I have. So now after cutting, you transfer your pattern to fabric and make sure you add like ½ inch for your joining allowance. Now I'm using my tape to hold this down because I want to also explain how to attach the lower part of the flare of this dress and also attach the draping we have at the front part. So after I'm done joining with my tape, let's say you're making this dress and you're done joining, now take the waistline measurement you have. Now we are going to use this to cut out our flare, and for this flare part of this dress you need a 180-degree flare for it, right? And what I got was 12 inches. So now to cut a simple 180-degree flare is just to fold your pattern into two, like a triangle, like a half triangle or so. Now after doing this, we are now going to take our measurement. So remember that the waistline we have is 12 inches. Now divide it by 2. If you divide it by 2, now what you have is 6 inches. So for you, go ahead to do the same. Divide the measurement you have there by 2. Now place and draw like a semicircle, form like a semicircle from one tip to the other. This is like the easiest way to cut out your flare without going ahead to like do much calculation. Place your tape at the tip and where the line meets the semi flare at the lower part. Whatever measurement you have, you're going to take it all the way around. Now after marking this will now be your actual flare where it will start, that is the waistline. Next is to go ahead to take your pencil and reconnect those lines, right? This new one that you marked now. After that, determine the length of your flare, that is from the waist to where your flare stops. So let's say we are using 8 inches for this flare because I'm drafting in a little or miniature size. So I'll just go ahead to transfer this measurement all the way around. Now this 8 means you measured the length of your flare and you added like 1 or 1.5 inches for folding and joining allowance. After this, go ahead and cut out this flare. Now this part that you cut out now, you're going to attach it to the waistline of the upper part of your dress, right? Now before going ahead to join, we have like a flare draping at the front side, at the side of this pattern, right? You notice that there's a pleat by this side. Now what you do is to do a slash and spread, open it little. So what we have there is not that much. Open up that side a little. Now you spread it on your fabric and trace out. So since I'm working on a pattern paper, what I did was to open this up and I used like a gum to hold it down. Now trace the actual side. So this part now will be longer than the other side of the flare. Now to get it to the original side, we are going to pleat it to the back when joining the back part of this dress to create the ruche. Now for the draping in front, all you need to do is get your fabric and fold like a flare, like a 180-degree flare again, but whatever you have won't be as much as your skirt. So go ahead to like cut out your fabric in a flare form this way, right? Now I'll just go ahead and mark here, right? I'm just using it to serve as a guide. Now your flare should be almost the same length or slightly longer than that of your skirt length. So I'm just using the same length. Since I used 8 inches for my skirt length, I'll use this. So let's say if your skirt length is 40-45, this flare you're going to cut out will be the same length. So I just have a pointy tip here and I'll go ahead to cut it out. So what I'll do now is just you go ahead to create like a small pleat on it. Now when you create that small pleat, you're going to go ahead to attach this on this dress, and you're going to go ahead to pin it down. Now after pinning it down, you want to go ahead to join it to this pattern, right? Now what I'll do is to go ahead and join it on my sewing machine. I will stitch this down. After I'm done stitching down, this is what I have. Now you notice there's a draping the front part of this dress. Now this is when you drape it. So I don't know if this draping got to the back at the waist, so I'm just doing for the front. Now what you need to do is to cut out your fabric, little of your fabric, which you'll be using to drape it. Just go ahead to fold up the edge or turn it up, then pleat it on the waistline of your dress, right? You're going to pleat it on the waistline of your dress to the side, and you're just going to hold it down and then stitch it down. After stitching this down, we are done with this part of the front. Now let's move over to how to get the back. Now for the back pattern of this dress, I have marked out the zipper allowance in front. For your zipper allowance, you can use 1.5 to 2 inches. For the neckline of this dress, I used a basic neckline of 2.5 by 1. That is for the back. Then I marked the shoulder divided by 2 plus half, and I found the chest line like the same way we did for that of the front. Now I'll start by marking my darts, which I'll mark the nipple to nipple divided by 2 at this point. Now at both sides, I'm going to mark ½ inch on both sides of my pattern. Then I'll come down by 1 inch, connect, and also connect at this point. Here's my shoulder to bust and my waistline, right? So now my shoulder to waist at the front is shorter than that of the back. Now mark your bust circumference divided by 4, add your sewing allowance. Mark your waist circumference divided by 4, replace the dart intake, and also add your sewing allowance. Go ahead to connect your pattern. So I'm going to take out the zipper board here by marking ½ inch, and you'll be extending this all the way to the upper part. Note your zipper, your actual zipper measurement should be 1.5 to 2 inches, right? So after I'm done marking this, I'm just going to go ahead to pin, and I will cut out my pattern. So I'll just go ahead and I will cut this out. After cutting this, we'll now go ahead to cut out the flare part of the back pattern of this dress. So after I'm done cutting out, I'll just go ahead to open it up, and you're going to see what the back looks like, right? It's just a basic back pattern that I cut out. Now let's work on the lower part of this flare. For the lower part, you are also going to cut it in a 180-degree flare form. That is, fold your flare in a triangular form. Now for the waistline of the back, you're going to measure what you have at the waistline of your dress, and that includes your zipper. So let's say the waistline of the back plus the zipper allowance, I got 14 inches. Now that 14 inches divided by 2, which will give you 7. Draw out like a semicircle from here. Place your tape from the tip, and where that semicircle stops, that is around 7.5 inches, right? That is where I will now mark that 7.5 inch all the way around. After I'm done marking that, I'll just go ahead and take the length of this dress. I'll place my tape and I'll mark the full length of the flare part of the back, right? So let's say the length of the flare we cut initially, we used 8 inches, which is the length of the flare of this dress. So measure the length of your own flare just like we did for that of the front, and then measure out, mark it all the way around, and then you go ahead to cut out. Now after you're done cutting out at this point, you're going to slit this open because the back has like a zipper, and just like I said, when measuring, add or include your zipper allowance. Now I'm going to go ahead to pin this together. Now you're going to be joining this to the upper part and then join it to the back. Now for the side of this pattern, when you're shaping it, you're going to fold this part, right? We're going to go ahead to fold the sides so that you create that little ruche we have. Now if you pleat it, the side of the front, it will now match up with that of the back pattern, because by the front, by the time you slash it by the side, it might tend to be longer.